guess there's three parts to our chat. The first is the past.
Yeah.
And I guess the point we'd make about Steamship is your past goes back a long way in PNG. So what are we looking at here on these slides here, Chris?
Okay, so this is the beginning. This is Captain Fitch, 1918.
This is the original steamship.
When it all started,
Yeah.
and this is the original steamship vessel, MV Queenscliff. They eventually called it MV Queenie, and it was brought initially to do a salvage off the Queensland coast. By the time that it got finally delivered, the vessel they're salvaging had sunk. So he kept on going north, arrived in Port Moresby, started coastal trading on Papuan routes early 1919.
And that was funded by investors in Melbourne, was it? Or
Originally Melbourne,
Yeah.
for the first 10 years, first decade of operations. It was primarily based out of Melbourne. But he really made his money by trading up the coast, Tufi, Daru, Misima, Samurai. And each voyage made money, and he reinvested that in Papua New Guinea.
So the entire steamships group today, with all its diversified activity, comes from that single vessel
ship.
there.
Yeah, ship.
Amazing, isn't it? So that's so good. Now we're moving through to the 1920s. That looks like a general store to me. Is that down in town? That's in Champion Parade.
That is Champion Parade. It's not downtown Plaza. It's nearby.
Yeah.
Corner of Champion Parade and Douglas Street. And again, this is part of really the first property. He lived upstairs. It was a boarding house, so he didn't build it. He bought it, and then traded general cargo out of the ground level. And eventually, shipping again was really kind of the primary part of the initial history. Again, raised capital, made profits, and invested it in more steamships. Left-hand side, you have the Papuan Chief. That was built in Glasgow, very fancy in those days. Had 10-passenger accommodation, first class, great bar.
Very flash.
And then the H&S boat was built in Melbourne, and it had an all-Papuan crew. So the very first master of the H&S boat was P.P. Gary, and he sailed the vessel from Melbourne to Moresby.
So it would have been one of the pioneering PNG seamen.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was the first, and it was all Papuan crew as well.
Yeah.
And they'd won the mail contract, so the coastal mail contract from British New Guinea Development Company, which in those days, if you're going to win a contract, it was the mail contract you wanted.
Yeah.
So again, expanded rapidly in the 20s, early 30s. Went into plantations, had 4 or 5 plantations, including 600 hectares.
So you can see a lot of diversification here. We've got there's a bit of small print on there, but we've got coffee producers up there. We've got accommodation there. I like the moderate tariff that's advertised in this hotel brochure. That's right. That tradition continues today, doesn't it?
Very much 3-star positioning.
Yeah.
Moderate tariff is what we are. So again, it is a hotel that Captain Fitch brought.
Yes.
So he didn't build it, but that was our first foray into hotels. And then agriculture, and of course workshops. Workshops for both the shipping and the agriculture assets.
Like a lot of PNG, the World War II was obviously a major impact on business, as well as the country itself. And Steamships wasn't immune to some of the damage either.
No, like many companies, World War II pretty much brought Steamships to its knees. We lost a lot of vessels. The Cosmopolitan Hotel, which you just saw in the previous slide, that was destroyed to prevent the Japanese using it as their headquarters and accommodation. But we survived World War II, and then it really was kind of 2 decades of growth thereafter.
So that steamships building there looks a little bit more familiar. Would that be the site of the existing?
Yes, that is right. So it's the old Steamships house.
Yeah.
So it still stands today. I can see some cars inside it.
Oh, there's a car showroom in here.
Our car showroom. So that's the start of our automotive division in the 1950s.
So this is a business that, if you think of its first 50 years of life, every time there's a need, there's no one else supplying that need. So the growth of the diversification of the business is really to address the immediate needs of the group first of all, but then you've got customers and they don't have those things either, and you're selling to them as well.
That's right, and it all starts with an entrepreneurial spirit of the original owners and trading. So Steamships trading company, and it kept on moving into new sectors and geographies over time.
Now we've got here, we've got elephants. What can you tell us about these elephants? This is the new Guinea Australia line shipped a jumbo. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so we
That's
started.
not normal cargo.
So we started representing international trades
Right.
in the early 1950s, so again, post-World War II. And expanded, as you can see on the right-hand side, the New Guinea Pacific line, it expanded quickly. And what you have here is Jumbo the elephant. He was part of a circus. He was discharged in Moresby. They'd never seen an elephant before, so they called it Big Pella Pig. So that was part of the original kind of animal circus.
Fascinating. And the first mention here of the China Navigation Company, we're starting to build relationships with the SWI group.
International partners,
Yes.
that's right. So the China Navigation Company, despite its name, was the international shipping arm of John Sarah and Sons. Started representing them in the 1950s. So they were the main international operator into Papua New Guinea at the time. And that relationship really grew over the next 50 years. So very important for opening up PNG imports and importantly exports as well to Australia and Asia.
So I think this picture here, the larger picture here, is actually of independence celebrations in 1975. So that's your Steamships.
That's right.
Main store?
That's Downtown Plaza, which is still there today. It burned down 3 times with fire, so we kept on rebuilding it. And it's still our main store today. So, and on the right-hand side,
Go back here.
it's wonderful to see the PNVs. So I'm sure some of those are still operating around Moresby today.
They do look similar, don't they, to the guns we see today?
They do, slightly better condition, but there we are.
Fantastic. So we're getting to the 80s and 90s. That's obviously post-independence.
Yeah.
More diversification, and you're getting into more retail, and you're getting into developing brands as well, like the Hardware House brand or the Hardware brand, which I think was sold later on.
That's right.
But by this stage, you're in a lot of different businesses, aren't you?
Yeah, so we essentially expanded aggressively. We moved into 10 different divisions of businesses during the 80s and 90s. Shipping, top right, that's the K-class, the most modern ships of their day.
You've got the Lager Industries, which of course is now owned by a different
Lager Industries.
Stop and Shops.
Came in and out.
That's when that started.
Stop and Shop. We came in and took over Burns Philp merchandise. Steamships Hardware was a great brand. Used to be a famous saying, you kiss and wear, and they go use Steamships Hardware. So it was the place where everyone bought hardware in those days. And then on the left-hand side, we got into hotels. So we brought the Gateway Hotel, which is still our biggest hotel today.
That's changed a little bit since the 1980s.
It certainly has.
It's up at the airport there.
That's by the airport. We brought Hume Golf at about the same time. We brought it from a company called Ansett Hotels, which is, of course, no longer. So again, a really important couple of decades for the company.
Now, this is quite an important photo, quite a historic photo. What can you tell us about this, Chris?
Yeah, so this is Captain Fitch's last trip to Port Moresby.
This is the founder of the business, effectively.
This is essentially the founder of the business. This is P.P. Gary, the first master that they had, which I mentioned earlier. Yes. That they had a very, very long relationship together. Captain Fitch was absolutely passionate about developing seafarers, as we, of course, remain to today as well. And after 55 years nearly in the business, he retired. So the first half of the company's history was really driven by this one individual. And it's very close business partners and the PNG seafarers. So brilliant, great story.
Now, I guess something happened when you talk about the president of Steamships. A decision was made to actually start to refine which businesses were core and which businesses were not core. And that happened, what, around 2000, in 2000 and 2005?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, we diversified a lot, got into a lot of businesses that, became quite commoditized over time. And really, in the early 2000s, we started to consolidate around three core businesses or divisions, which we are still very much today. And that is properties. Obviously, you can see downtown Harbourside here. It's a recent photograph of Harbourside South and the Marriott Executive Apartments in the background. Logistics is one of our Pacto tugs on the left-hand side. And, of course, hotels, you can see. Again, that's part of the MEA, but also you can see the ground path in the background as well. Yeah.
So coastal shipping has been a key
yes.
business, and you've kept that going. And I guess the challenge is getting ready for what we hope will be a very busy decade of growth. So what preparation have you done with the Consort shipping business to get ready for this next phase of growth?
So in its current form, Consort is sharing its 50-year anniversary with PNG.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was many iterations before that in terms of shipping. We certainly invested ahead of the curve. Again, we're long-term investors. And 2 or 3 years ago, we invested about 300 million kina in shipping, getting ready for what we see and still do see today as a couple of decades of strong, sustained growth. And that's investment in the assets, but also, importantly, investment in the people. Going back to Captain Fitch's initial legacy, our shipping is only good as our Papua New Guinean seafarers. And we worked with the Australian government. Lisa Kazanari was one of the female cadets we brought out of the Maritime College. We now have 2 tugs that are essentially manned all by females. And it's been a great success story. So again, training and development and employment of local Papua New Guinean seafarers is absolutely critical to our future.
I'll go back forward again. Hotels. There's a lot of work going on, I know, in your hospitality division.
Yeah.
To again get things ready for the next phase of growth in PNG. Let's talk about some of the key properties in the Coral Seas Group.
Yeah. So it's obviously post-COVID. It's certainly slowed us down in terms of our investments in the hotel business, as it did across our portfolio. But now we're really getting on and renovating all of our hotels, firstly in Port Moresby, and then across the rest of the country. So what you see here is a picture on the left-hand side of the gateway. That lobby is now finished. We're halfway through renovations. It's our biggest hotel by inventory. We're very excited about that. And then we're doing Edda Beach Hotel at the same time, as well as the Grand Pat, which
so
got a picture of.
That's starting. It hasn't started yet, but it's coming soon.
It's coming very soon. So the next few weeks.
Okay. This was an interesting one. I spoke, those of you in the session this morning, I mentioned the Innovation Awards that we gave out in March this year, and Steamships was one of the winners, or a member of Steamships' team was one of the winners of that Innovation Award for this project, which is the Sustainability Project at 345. There's a lot of solar panels on those roofs. So what can you say about the corporate approach to sustainability, which is something that's becoming more of a corporate value?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's for starting point. That's 345 there. In the background, you've got Downtown Plaza.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more solar panels on Downtown Plaza. That was part of an initial trial that we worked with the government with, and we remain very much excited by it. It's, as a group, we're committed to getting towards carbon neutrality in 2030. So well ahead of 2050 net zero. And really for us, solar is the quickest pathway to doing that. There's still restrictions around solar. Again, this is part of the trial we worked with the government. But in the calculations we've done, we think if we put solar on all our top 10 properties, we could get to net zero with those 10 properties in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So for properties, at least, as a division, that's how important this is.
And I think also in the shipping fuels, I know the Swire Group within the region has been working hard on the fuels situation.
That's right. Like, shipping's much harder. We're still stuck with a combustion engine. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Renewables are still to be proven. So really what excites us very much is the solar and the opportunity that provides.
Now, mixed-use developments is something that you're getting to know pretty well.
Yeah.
And I note it's something that you're developing in different ways in different parts of the country. For example, the Portside Business Park, which is just outside Motor Kia Port, outside Port Moresby. But you've also got a development, one year Debel in Mount Hagen.
Yeah.
Mixed use, why are you looking at that as a model that works particularly well in this market?
Yeah, well, it obviously started with Harbourside development in 2005. It's a space that attracts us. We think we're good at doing it. Obviously, Swire Group as a whole has done a lot of mixed-use, very large-scale projects in Hong Kong and China. And we think this is something that we can really succeed at. The thing about mixed use is obviously it's about placemaking. Certainly with Dobell and Harbourside, it's both offices and residential and retail, multiple revenue streams, and they're really placemaking properties. So people live there, they work there.
The destinations.
It's a destination.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dobell isn't shown here. I think it's on the next slide. But on the far right, yes, we do have Portside. Portside is an industrial park.
This is the dust walk outside.
We're turning soil. That was earlier in the year. It's 30 hectares. It will take us 10 years to develop, creating hundreds and then potentially thousands of jobs. So again, it's something we're excited about as industrial increasingly moves outside Port Moresby.
Now, these look impressive. This is Mount Hagen. So this is something pretty unusual for Mount Hagen, would you say?
Well, we did a project 1 year one, or Hagen Central, about 10 years ago. Very, very similar concept. It was mixed use, smaller than this one, in partnership with Taninga and the Duckworth family. It's been very successful. I'm thinking now is the right time to do another project. We are substantially through the first phase of developing it. It's a 12,000 square foot mixed use development, and the first stage is almost substantially full. So we're halfway through construction. So again, we like Hagen. It's part of our regional development as well. It's an interesting place at the moment, and we're finding a lot of international brands are asking about Hagen and Dobell, partly because of security and obviously the environment that we are building it in.
One of the things about the Hagen project is it's a partnership with Taninga,
that's right,
which is a local family-owned business in Mount Hagen, which has a long history there as a retail and wholesale business. The way that Steamships goes about as a business seems to involve a lot of partnerships like this.
That's right.
Is that a part of corporate strategy? And how does partnerships fit in? Because it does seem to be taking place not just in property development, but also in other services provision as well.
It's a way we've grown over the last 30, 40 years.
Yes.
On the shipping side, we've always had partnerships in every port we operate around stevedoring and handling, always with landowners. And it's allowed us to grow and to develop and really increase employment. And it's something we've got very comfortable with. Harbourside downtown, obviously the three towers, east, west, and south, has always been a partnership with the Sustainable Development Programme, SDP, and that's worked for us well. And Dobell, as you mentioned, and I really can't do better than echo what Chris Richardson was saying this morning about trust.
Yes.
What partnerships allow us to do is take a long-term view with local institutions and landowners and build properties that we are very comfortable with the risk we're taking. So we found it's not necessarily the only model, but we certainly found it's a model that's worked for us.
Okay. You did mention the Grand Papua, so this is coming.
Yeah.
Putting the Grand back into Grand Papua.
That's right. Yeah, you've read it here first.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, it's our five-star hotel, Grand Papua. It's 11 or 12 years now since we built it. So we're spending 80 to 90 million doing it up. So it's a big investment in a single property. It's got a wonderful history, Grand Papua, obviously. It's now in its, I guess, kind of the third iteration,
yes.
Essentially. And it's downtown. So we're building a great hotels team. And hospitality is really becoming kind of a key part of what we do. So we're getting on and really investing in the Grand Papua, and again, taking kind of a 10, 15-year view. We're excited about the growth opportunities over that period of time, particularly as we get into the projects. And we think the Grand Papua is the right place for us to be doing that.
Just about downtown area, we've got Panga Hill, obviously, just across the way from the Grand Papua. You can see it on your balconies. You've also got your harborside developments down there. We've also got the foreshore development, which, for those of you interested, Cornwall Consolidated Holdings have a stall here basically talking about the redevelopment of the old port area in downtown. If we're looking at downtown Port Moresby in 5-10 years' time, what are we expecting that to look like?
Look, there certainly is excess liquidity at the moment in the market. There's a lot of capacity that's been built. International brands are coming in. It's still probably a bit too early to understand exactly what that means. But as we know from the last PNG Energy, things get busy very quickly.
Yes.
In Port Moresby. So I think we're confident. Again, we're long-term investors. We're seeing occupancies quite low at the moment for a hotel operator. We're 60% or so, which is low. But over the next 10 years, we see the demand, and we're a long-term player and operator. So we're quite comfortable with the position we have.
And the other thing you've done, and I guess it's also to do with partnerships in a way, is you're now working with international brands. You mentioned that before.
That's right.
How important is that to kind of bring in the Marriotts and the other international brands that are familiar to people in other markets?
Well, I think it's important from a few levels. One, we learn a lot from working, in this case, with the Marriott. It comes with high standards of training as well, and their systems. And it's a bit like flying. People want their frequent flyer points, people want their hotel points. And certainly as more corporates start to come into PNG, whether it's Total or Exxon, we think it will become important. It is early days yet. We don't quite know what it means. A lot of business is still booked locally through our traditional channels. But we think it is important, and we think it will change Port Moresby's hospitality.
Well, your comms team has very kindly provided a QR code so that people can find out more about your wonderful business. But maybe we'll just finish off our conversation. We were talking about this yesterday when we were having a chat about this talk. People.
Yeah.
We've talked about buildings, we've talked about equipment, we've talked about ships. But it strikes me that one of the things about steamships is you have a lot of people who go on from steamships to do great things and move on to important positions. And clearly there's something about working at steamships that people are getting from working there. Can you talk a little bit about what your approach is to hiring and developing talent, and what part of it in your culture is, how do you address that in your culture? Because it's clearly been successful.
Well, look, if you take out the extractive industries, which of course go up and down, it's very volatile, then we are one of the biggest employers, if not the biggest employer in the country, 4,500 people. We provide a lot of training and development. We've got graduate programs now with Papua New Guineans that are starting to deliver our next senior management across our divisions, which we're very excited about. It goes back to our original commitment with the seafarers. We can't run any division or any business unless we've got what we think is the best talent in the market. But importantly, it does come back to values. We employ people for their values. Ultimately, it's part of the company culture. And it doesn't matter how good your strategy is, unless you've got the right culture, then it's very hard to win. So people obviously remain the biggest part of our investment along that assets.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing the heritage of the Steamship story with us today, Chris. And what I think your presentation also shows how confident you are in the longer term outlooks for the PNG's economy.
Definitely. In the next 2 decades, it belongs to Papua New Guinea. So we're very excited about it. We do projects that are nation building, and we're very comfortable with our investments and our people.